What's up, boys and girls? Today we'll be drawing Jigglypuff from Pokemon. Feel free to draw along and pause the video whenever you like to catch up with me. Let's take a look at the materials we'll need for this drawing. We're going to need a pencil, an eraser. I'm using the one on the back of my pencil. We're going to need a black marker, and we're going to need some crayons. I've chose 6 colors to draw a Jigglypuff. So 2 shades of pink. I have a lighter shade of pink and a darker shade of pink. And then I have 2 shades of blue for the eyes, a lighter shade of blue and a darker shade of blue. And I have 2 shades of dark gray. I have a gray that is a little bit lighter, and I have a gray that is a little bit darker, almost a black, for the shadow inside the ear. Okay, so we're using 6 crayons, 1 pencil, and a marker. Now I like to use a roller for my cleanup, but this is optional. You don't need it if you don't have one. But this makes cleanup a lot easier. Okay, so now let's take a look at the drawing and see what shapes and form we can use to help us create Jigglypuff. So Jigglypuff, the overall shape of Jigglypuff is a big sphere or a big circle. And I like to draw a crosshair on my circle, so we get kind of like we see more of a sphere form instead of just a circle. Okay, and based on my crosshair, I know about where I need to put my eyes, the mouth, including this kind of like a hair feature thing. And then the 2 ears are triangles, triangle shaped or cone shaped. Okay, the 2 feet are oval shaped, and the little arms are actually half of an oval. See, if you draw an oval and cut it in half, it's half of an oval. So same thing for this arm here. Is an oval cut in half. Okay, now the eyes are just simple circles. Okay, alright, so the light direction for Jigglypuff is coming from top down. Oops. So we know that because we see some nice shadows on the bottom of the hair right here, some cast shadow from that hair. Okay. We see this area is darker, that is shadow, that is the cast shadow from this part of the ear, casting right here. That's why there's shadow. And then we also see the bottom part of Jigglypuff's body. It's also in shadow. Okay, now this shadow and this shadow on the feet are actually shadow cast from the body. Okay, we have a little shadow right here. Alright, so after studying the shapes and forms of Jigglypuff, let's start drawing. Okay, so I'm going to start the big circle. Now sometimes if it's hard to draw a perfect circle for you, what I like to do is draw the 4 corners of the circle first, and then draw the other 4 corners. Okay, and then connect the lines. See how this way your circle can look more perfect. Okay, so I'm going to use my pencil as a measuring tool and just kind of find out like the angle of the face. So the angle of the face is about right there. Okay, that angle right there. Okay, and based on this crosshair on the sphere, I can locate where the eyes are. So the eyes, if you take your pencil, and then just measure it. You can see it's in the middle right here. So that's one eye right there. That's another eye right here. I'm going to draw in the circles. Okay, got that one eye located. Now the left one. Okay, at this stage, we're just constantly looking back on the reference, our example drawing, to get the overall location of all the features right. Okay, there goes the eyes and the mouth, all right here. Again, I'm referencing the example drawing. Okay, and then the 2 ears, 2 corners right here. So 1 ear, like this. And the other ear, on this side. And then I'm going to draw in that almost like a hair feature right here. And I'm constantly, referencing like the spacing between shapes. Okay, there goes that hair, and then just add in the feet and the arms. Okay, and then the arms. The other arm. Okay, in the beginning I like to draw lightly, and as my shapes become more defined, I will draw more and more heavier, because now I'm not afraid to make a mistake. I mean, if you make a mistake, you can also use your eraser to erase it, but why do that when you can get it right the first time? Okay, so I'm just gonna take a look at it and see which outline, which line is kind of like a definitive line, and which line needs a little bit adjustments to make it more definitive. Okay, so this will make our tracing, when we start tracing the outlines, this will make the tracing part easier if you have more definitive lines. If your lines are blurry and less definitive, you're going to have a little harder time tracing it. So I'm going to make sure that my lines are as good as it can be to make tracing a little bit easier. Alright, And next, we will move on to tracing. Okay, so to trace, I'm going to use my black marker. I can move my example drawing to the side for now, and then just start tracing my pencil line work. Now, one thing to keep in mind is pay attention to the areas where shapes overlap, like right here, right here, right here, right here. See how this line is running, cutting into the line of the foot? How this line right here, the line of the body, is cutting into the line of the arm. It's indicating that this shape of the body is in front of the leg, of the foot, and the arm. Okay, so pay attention to these areas where shapes overlap. Okay. Okay. And when you're tracing over these outlines, you can always rotate your paper to get a more smooth and fluent line. Now sometimes your arm, your hand might be in the way, but if you rotate your paper, it won't be in the way anymore. And if you're not drawing as fast as me, you can always pause the video, catch up, and then keep drawing. Now the marker that I'm using today, it dries very fast. So I don't have to worry about it bleeding through the paper. Or smear it with my hand. But in case if you're using a marker that doesn't dry as fast, it will be a great idea to trace from top to bottom, left to right, if you're right-handed. Okay, now I have all my pencil line traced. I'm going to grab my eraser and start erasing all the pencil line that I can still see after I trace it with the marker. Okay, I'm going to grab my trusty roller and clean off all the eraser off the paper. And start coloring. So let's take a look. I'm going to start with the pink. Just the biggest area of color. Now when coloring, the goal is to have an even layer of color for each layer. And you don't have to draw very heavily. You can do it very lightly because we're going to throw on another layer. We're going to draw another layer for the shadow later on. Now again, if you're using a marker that doesn't dry as fast, you will notice it here. When you start coloring with your crayon, if you start smearing the line work, that means you have to wait a little bit longer. And again, when you're coloring, feel free to rotate your paper if that's going to help you. Okay, next color is the blue. I'm going to choose the light blue, grab the light blue. And I'm going to, you'll see that there are two white spots on our example drawing here. Those are reflections from the sun. So I'm actually going to leave those areas white. I'm not going to color in those areas. Just going to color in the area, the rest of the area of the eye. Okay, and then I'm going to grab the lighter gray, color in the ears. There goes one ear. The other ears. Okay, so we have all the first lighter shade of color in here. We're now going to add a darker layer for the shadow, and we're going to make some of the outlines thicker to make the character pop out. Okay? Alright. And I'm going to grab the darker shade of pink. I'm going to look at where the shadows are on our example here. So it's underneath the hair right here. So I am going to draw a little bit more heavier this time, because it's for the shadow and it needs to be darker. Okay, And then I'm going to do it here for the ear. A little bit here. Okay, underneath the arm. This foot right here. Shadow. And this foot right here. Okay. Underneath this arm. And then the bottom side of the entire body. Okay, now I'm going to grab the dark blue, start making the darker part of the eye darker. Again, you are going to have to draw a little bit heavier for this layer to cover the lighter layer that you put down. Okay, got that. Okay, and then I'm going to grab the dark brown, dark gray, sorry, and color in the shadow here. I'm going to make this gray a little bit darker, because right now it's just not dark enough. Alright, now before I trace over some of the outlines to make it thicker, I'm going to grab my roller again and clean up the drawing a little bit. Okay, I'm going to grab my marker again and just what I'm going to do is going to make the outermost profile lines thicker to pop up the character. Something that I like to do to make the character almost more dimensional. Okay, so let's do that. And when you see a shape that's in front of another shape, I also like to make the lines darker, like this little arm here. It's in front of the feet and the body. Okay, so this piece of hair, I'm going to make the outline thicker because I want it to feel like it's the most forefront feature of the character. Okay, let's finish the body. Alright, here we have Jigglypuff. Okay. Hope you guys enjoyed this session, and feel free to let me know in the comments what we should draw next time. And don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next video.